let's see here. We have the mini PC project. I've made a couple of changes to it with some different design rules. So we're going to start off by making sure the properties panel is open. It's really important to use the properties panel while tuning. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come down here to the bottom of this VGA, and we see a lot of single-ended traces here. This will be a good area to start showing some of the new tuning. You can see up here in the active bar, you have two types of tuning. You have interactive length tuning and differential pair tuning. So of course, right now we're working with single-ended traces. So we're going to click here, and you could see creating the tuning sleeve very quickly. I'm going to create it like that. And you could automatically start seeing some of the changes here. We have the accordion. As I mentioned, there are different options available now. We're going to start off by moving this around just to see the new changes to the glossing engine. The changes began to be implemented in 8020, and they are further improved now. So we can see you can actually modify the boundaries as you see fits here. Let's say you want to rotate. This is one of the biggest differences here. You can hold the control key and actually rotate the full boundary. As we're working through this, you can hit 3 and 4, right, to make the changes to the width in between. And this has been possible for many years, but just in case you weren't aware of that, 3, 4. There we go. So in addition to that, if you hit space, it's going to change the style, which you can see down here. We can make those changes as need be, and it will automatically change. But again, while you're dragging it, if you hit space, it will automatically make those changes. So I'm going to delete that pattern, and we will switch over to trombone tuning. I mentioned earlier that trombone tuning is pretty similar. The major difference here, if I hit tab, I can come over here without changing the environment. So I'm going to hit trombone. The major difference here between accordion and trombone is spacing situations. A lot of times you're going to want to, generally you would be using the accordion functionality, but let's say you have limited space, like right here. You can see here the accordion tuning is very similar, but it will allow us to better utilize our space here. Let me just create that right there. We can move it to one side if we would like to. See here, moving from one side to the other. And once again, I'm going to hit tab to come over here. And I'm going to do single side. So this allows it to force the system to only use one side. So you can see left or right. And we come over here. It will very easily go around the corners and automatically follow that. We can change the boundaries as we see fit. If we want to make this a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, we have that capability. And this single side is really important because it helps you control exactly how you do this length tuning. So lastly, we are going to look here at sawtooth. So I'm going to make just a couple changes. I'm going to make the angle 70 degrees. I'll make this 154, and I'm going to make the actual height 1 millimeter. Once again, we have the single-sided option, and you can do fixed size if you would like. So I'm going to start off with the single-sided option. And you see here, we can go around some corners if we would like. And the fact that we're single-sided just kind of makes it a little bit easier to see the sawtooth pattern right here along the edge. This is going to be pretty helpful throughout your design process. Some people like to synchronize the sawtooth with the fibers of their design. So that is something that is possible now because you can make this whatever angle necessary for your design. So now that we have this placed here, we are going to add a couple more. We're going to come over here and switch over to trombone tuning. And we add it here. And then lastly, we are going to add one last tuning for the accordion. So you can see them kind of interacting with each other, making sure that they optimize the space with each other. And since you can move them independently, as I believe I mentioned earlier, these are called tuning sleeves. You can see how they interact with each other and they allow you to fully optimize the space here. You still have the ability to drag things over as need be to make things a little bit easier to fully utilize the space of your board. So we're going to leave those there, and we're going to look at some differential pairs. All of the tuning capabilities available for single-ended are available for differential pairs. So we're going to start off by selecting this trace right here. And you could see I'm selecting the inside trace. However, it is keeping them coupled together. So, and this is going to go across these vias, and it's going to keep those together. You still have the push and shove capabilities, as you can see here, but you have that ability to stay coupled. So if we come to the properties panel here, you see in this corner the keep coupled. I can disable that if I would like, and now when I move it, it just moves one at a time. Of course, that's not always ideal, but in the situation where you need to separate them a little bit, you have that functionality. And of course, if you're selecting the outside because of the push functionality of the glossing engine, you will see that it will push over the left one. Okay, from here, we will look at interactive routing for differential pairs. It's the same concept, of course, but with the added functionality of coupling, you are able to better utilize these different tuning patterns. So we see here, I can move it down. As I mentioned, you can hit Control and rotate it. And you'll notice how fluid this is because of these glossing engine changes. It's really easy to move these tunes around. With previous releases, it was a little bit more cumbersome, but now that we have these glossing engine improvements introduced in Altium Designer 20, it's just going to keep getting advancing every single year. So we will look at some of the different tunings. First, we had accordion. I'm using short keys U, P for the differences hitting the trombone tuning. We have that. And of course, if you would like, you can combine them along the same trace. And you see here with these accordions, it's really nice that you have it's coupled and it's symmetrical, right? One thing we mentioned is the entry and exit of pads is now guaranteed to be symmetrical with this keep coupled functionality that I mentioned in the properties panel. So you can see that the tuning sleeves come in and they interact with each other so you don't step in on each other's territory. So you can see both of them here.